My precious Michael. I slammed my balls on a closing door.
It's been a bit since I've played a good narrative-driven third-person shooter. Ever since the Uncharted series died and Sony decided to focus more on The Last of Us, I've had a small hole in my heart. The modern God of War games have sort of been my fallback for a while, but even though I love those games, it just couldn't fully replicate the feeling Uncharted gave me. So imagine my surprise when I heard of a new game that was releasing this year with people heavily comparing it to Uncharted. Mafia: The Old Country is an interesting game to me. First thing that caught my eye was obviously the Uncharted comparisons, but also the $50 price tag. In an age where AAA games usually cost 70 or even 80 bucks, this game, which is a new entry in a long-running franchise from a big publisher like 2K, was marking it at $10 less than the standard from just a few years ago. This is what really drew me to this game. So let's get right into Mafia: The Old Country. I haven't played any of the other Mafia games before this. They've been stuck in my Steam backlog for a bit now. From what I've heard, the old games were similar to GTA. This game is more linearly structured, which is probably due to a smaller team and budget. I'm completely fine with that. In fact, I think that recently AAA games have been too bloated and a smaller scale can greatly help the overall development. I'll start with what I like about the game. The visuals are really good. Not just the graphical fidelity, but also the art direction in general, which really puts you into the time period. The general gameplay of third-person shooting is also satisfying, having a bob and weave style as opposed to the usual cover-to-cover. Although that might just be my own playstyle, but hey, it worked. The third-person shooting isn't the only gameplay loop though, and this is where my issues with the game start appearing. The other gameplay elements that are actually gameplay are completely fine, stealth sections, horse racing, etc. But for some reason, the developers decide to copy the horse riding sections of Red Dead 2, where you're forced to walk slowly and talk, aka the one part of that game everyone agrees should have been cut down. You can skip some of these sections, which brings me to what I like to call the Spider-Man problem. If you have a section of your game that you know is not fun and has a dedicated button to skip it, then either make that section better or just cut it. It's even weirder because these sections make it feel like the game still thinks it's open world when it's not. The story and characters are serviceable. They aren't bad, but they aren't all that particularly memorable either, besides the Don, but I only remember him because every time he showed up, I kept thinking that he looked like Oscar Isaac. Like, I'm not crazy, right? I say to myself in my recording room, to no one. In summary, I greatly enjoyed my time with Mafia: The Old Country. There are a few things here and there that could have been tweaked, but I felt a strange comfort during my playtime. Here's the thing about narrative-driven games like this. There's nothing wrong with them. But for the longest time, people, especially publications and the Game Awards, viewed these kinds of games as the future of video games as a medium, which led to game studios pushing forward with ballooning budgets and crunch time, whereas indie devs were continuing to focus on just making a good game first and foremost. Which I think is why I'm being so generous to Mafia: The Old Country for taking a step back and making a smaller game with a clear focus. That's all I got for now. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and hit that bell icon to be notified for whenever I make a new video. The next review should be The Naked Gun, so if you're interested in that or interested in supporting the channel more, then turn notifications and check out my other videos. Okay, that's it. Bye.